On this Tech Tuesday, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite products, which is water brooms. When selecting the right water broom, there's really only two factors that you have to consider. One is your PSI of your pressure washer, and your second is going to be the GPM of your pressure washer. With smaller units like a Sunjo or a Ryobi or a Greenworks, Karcher, some of the smaller electric units, they don't have the output that's going to deliver the pressure you need in order to move debris with the water broom. And the whole concept behind a water broom is that it's going to act as a broom, but it's going to be dustless. So you have your inlet and your three outlets here, and you have nozzles installed at each, facing out in a 40-degree pattern, and they're going to push debris without kicking anything up. It's actually a really cool device to eliminate some of the allergens and dust that gets kicked up in the air. In this example, we're using a 4,000 PSI, 4 gallon a minute machine, and so we're going to use the 3-nozzle design, which is a 12-inch water broom. Nozzle brooms operate on the principle of an aggregate orifice. So while a 4,000 PSI, 4 gallon a minute machine requires a 4.0 nozzle, this with 3 2.0 nozzles means that it's a 6.0 orifice. That means that there's going to be a pressure drop, and the gallons per minute are going to be divided into 3. So if I have 4 gallons a minute going into 3, we're talking approximately 1.5 gallons per minute out of each one. Each of these outlets is quarter female NPT, and so these nozzles will screw most of the way in. The most important piece of this is that the orientation of the degree, so your 40 degrees, are exactly straight all the way across. If one of them is cocked sideways, you get striping, so they all have to be perfectly straight across. So now we're going to install each of these wrapped nozzles. Anytime you have smaller nozzles like this, which is a 2.0, it's much more likely to clog with very small debris. So having a pre-filter installed at the inlet is going to be your best defense, so that all of your nozzles are always firing with the same PSI and GPM. Once you get it most of the way tight, then you want to pull off and look at where it's at. So this one is almost at that horizontal position right here, a little bit more. There we go. So this guy is nice and straight. Now we're going to do the same for the other two. So if this guy was sticking out further, you're going to have more intense pressure because it's actually closer to the ground, even if it's a 1/4 inch. So you want them all relatively the same. We want them equidistant in their installation, so that they're not sticking out further than one another. The two most common applications for water brooms are going to be either in a dry scenario where you don't want to kick up dust, and the other is going to be a wet scenario where you have already cleaned the surface area and you now can no longer push it with a broom because you're just pushing around mud or wet sand. So in that case, you would use a water broom to do that sweeping action for you. When you're using a water broom, you would always want to use a straight lance. You can use a bent lance if that's all you got, but it's a lot easier with a straight. If you use a bend, it's going to be cocked like this, and you want your wheels to be nice and straight as they roll along. That's how the nozzles are positioned to all meet at a 40-degree pattern, congruent with one another. So if it's bent, it's going to be like this, and then your wheels are not going to roll correctly, and it's going to be a real pain in the butt. When using the water broom, you want to make sure that your spray patterns are not overlapping. As you can see here, you have a V where it's a double hit and it's further away, and that causes striping. Just the same, if you're too close, you have a gap which creates another stripe. You want your spray patterns to meet right at the cleaning surface.